The ending rental moratorium and the coming housing crisis. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's have a look at this article from ABC News. So, West Australia's rental moratorium is ending, and tenants fear being left without a roof over their heads. Now, there's two sides to this. The state has stepped in and allowed people to live rent-free in private property. And then there are landlords who can't afford to keep them. What if they are forced by the banks, with the quiet tap on the shoulder, to sell those properties? Who would buy a property if there's someone in there not paying rent? There's no winners in this. So, the end of the McGowan government's COVID-19 emergency moratorium on rent increases will be brutal for Gail Morrison and her two children. The rent on her home in Perth's southern suburb of Byford is going up by $90 to $450 a week. And you can see here, when people are paying that much on rent, why it makes sense to jump in a property. "I've no choice, sign it or they'll evict me," she said. Or you can move somewhere else. Is that not even on the table? Of course you have a choice. You can move. You can go, well, thank you very much, I'll go somewhere else. I'll move somewhere else. Or is that not even considered? Is that too tough? I remember when our rent was going up every year. It kept going up, and we said, no, we're moving. I'm sick of this. So, I was disgusted, actually. It hurt a lot. I cried at night. I was in tears. It was gut-wrenching. Now, $900 of her $1,600 fortnightly pay will go towards rent. Then move somewhere cheaper. Am I just out of touch to thinking that's an option? If you can't afford to live where you are, you go somewhere cheaper. Go further out. Oh, well, you have to commute then. Oh, it's going to be inconvenient. That's life. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to struggle, she said. It's going to be really, really tight. It's going to be hard to pay for food, utilities, and petrol in the car. I won't be able to afford a basic haircut. Well, haircuts are getting expensive. The vacancy rate in the Perth metropolitan area was just above record lows, at 1% in February, according to the Real Estate Institute of West Australia. The situation was even more dire in some regional areas, with the vacancy rate at just 0.5% in Munburry and Albany. Ms. Morrison said she felt forced to accept the $90 increase because there were virtually no rentals in her area, and she didn't want to be homeless. And she didn't want to move. I mean, let's have a look. Let's bring up realestate.com. We'll look at rentals. And where are we looking at here? What suburb? Byford. Byford in Perth. Byford. If I learn how to type properly. Byford, WA 6122. And I'll have a coffee while this loads up. We'll turn on the map. Okay. So let's look here. 570, 480, 650, 500, 550, yeah, so 420 applicants ending. So if we zoom out about here, there's some more stuff here. I mean, what's she paying now? So right now she's under, so she's gone up 90 a week. So she's nowhere near the market. She's nowhere near the market with what she's paying. She's getting a bloody good deal in this area. So let's see what's under $400. We'll go max for $400. We'll say $350. We'll zoom out here. What do we have here? $240 a week. Is that an aged care one? It probably have to be, wouldn't it? For that money. Available now. Lease under the National Rental Affordability Scheme. Okay, so it's a rent controlled. It looks like something similar to that. What else do we have here? $350. There we go. If you're looking for a brand living more than 3 bedroom, okay. What else? What if we go a bit further south? Nothing over here. Here we go. In Bertram, you've got a few there. 2-bed. 250. 295. 270. 350. So, I mean, guys, what are we? We're not talking a great. I mean, it's going to be a bit annoying. You've got to drive, but you've got cheaper areas over here. If we go up here as well, there's a whole lot of stuff for under at Mount Rickon for under 350. Move one suburb up. Now, I'm sure all the Western Australians are going to tell me there's something horrific with this area, or it's just, you know, maybe not as posh. But you got the train line. Hang on. It's just literally one train stop up, and we've got a whole lot of houses here for under $400 a week. So why is that a big stretch to look at that, to consider that? Are we just... Is it something Australians don't even want to do anymore? The idea of moving to get cheaper rent, if you have to, if you can't afford it. Am I so out of date? So, desperate tenants and welfare groups are calling on the WA government to limit rent increases, expand the residential rent relief grant scheme, and buy more social housing in an effort to prevent a spike in homelessness when the moratorium ends on Sunday. We just looked at a map. One train stop away, there was houses within a price range. Okay, moving sucks. I know, it's painful. I've done it. I don't want to do it. I hate doing it. Rachel won't let me pack because I don't pack good enough. We've literally moved up 3 houses up the street now in this rental we're living while I'm slowly demolishing and renovating this place. And it was good because I could just push it all up the street with a push cart. But even I hated doing that. Circle Green Community Legal, which specializes in residential tenancy law, has been receiving more than 200 calls a day from anxious tenants. These are individuals that can no longer stay in the property that they're at, and they have the enormous concern of finding another property. Circle Green's client and corporate manager, Carmen Acosta, said, "They're almost impossible in the market that we're in at the moment. It comes as the federal government's JobKeeper program also comes to an end on March 28th, adding to the financial strain for many people." Now, I know this is an ABC article. I know they always just want to portray... They want to paint people as the fact that they have no agency, no ability to take care of themselves. People are pretty tough. Most people can take care of themselves. Push comes to shove. You'll do what you need to do to take care of yourself and your family. You'll make the sacrifices that you have to make. So, you know, it's ABC take. We think those things that are going to come together and we're going to see something in Western Australia we've never seen before, Anglicare Chief Executive Mark Glasson said. We're going to have a housing crisis that is beyond what anyone has seen before. So is there something wrong with this suburb, guys? What's wrong with this area here? Why would you not want to move from here to here? So, I mean, let's jump in here and we'll have a look. I don't know. I can't... Is any graffiti on the streets? Any burning trash cans? What's going on, guys? There we go. We've got a shop. I mean, is that graffiti or is that shop signage? I can't tell. Okay, it looks pretty suburban. So, or is there something else? Let's jump out here. We'll go back here to maps. Are there any other issues with these properties? You know, are they limited by who can borrow them? I'm looking at it over here. Nothing here, nothing jumping up. So, What we'll see is more people living in cars, more people sleeping on the couch of a friend, more people actually homeless. My message to the government would be the election's over, caretaker's over. This is an emergency. We need an emergency response. This is designed to manipulate you. He's got a vested interest. He's from a charity group. That's their mission, is to advocate for more resources so they can take care of more people. That's their business. That's their business, guys. It's a business like any other. So, of course, they're going to create these images in your head of people sleeping in their car and sleeping on a friend's couch, or people being homeless, because they've got a vested interest. So landlords are urged to negotiate. Well, if someone's paying substantially lower rent than is in the area, the market demands more rent. If you can't afford it, you have to move somewhere else. I don't know. There's no mention of, only one train ride, one station away. There are significant houses that are within her price range. New Housing Minister John Kerry urged landlords to negotiate with struggling tenants before hiking rents. He said the government would not extend the moratorium, but would consider buying vacant properties to boost housing stock. Okay. You don't want the government buying housing. You don't want the government coming in there and buying housing to turn it into public housing. You want the market to have empty stock and people to lose money on the bloody things, so they have to sell them, maybe at a discount, so then someone who's struggling to rent can buy. Social housing is not the solution, everyone. We don't want to be a communist bloody utopia, because they fail again and again and again, and social housing is always crap, every time. If someone is given something without working for it, they don't appreciate it. But last Friday, Commerce Minister Amber Jade Sanderson, whose portfolio covers rental law, said she was not sure the end of the moratorium would be as disastrous as people said, and that catastrophizing was probably unhelpful. Well, I agree with her. REIWA President Damien Collins estimated rental prices for apartments and houses would increase by about 15% on average once the moratorium ended. He stressed this was in the context of rents falling over the last 6 years. The median rent for houses and apartments in Perth was $450 per week in 2014 and was down to $360 per week in February last year, just before the start of the pandemic. The ban on rent increases and some evictions was introduced in March last year by the state government to provide stability for people, as thousands were losing their jobs and the economy was battered by lockdowns to mitigate COVID. Many tenancies were extended until the end of the moratorium. But from March 29, landlords will again be allowed to increase rents and have more leeway to evict people or tell them to move out because the property is being sold. Going in property, guys. I know why everyone loves it. I know why people want to use it to mitigate their tax. But just all of this to BS to deal with. I mean, it's fun. I've just got a notice that they're coming to inspect the rental we're in. And I'm tempted. I go to Rachel. Well, there's all these, you've informed them of these health and safety issues. Like there's stairs that aren't compliant, or there's loose there. There's a gutter that isn't connected to the downpipe, so that's a water issue. Maybe I should send them a letter going, no problem. Can you send me through your current workplace health and safety COCs, so because there are all these potential health and safety risks for your staff that we've informed you of. And she goes, no, Florian, you don't need to do that. You're a tenant now. You don't need to care about anything. Stop thinking like a professional. So, it's D-Day for a lot of us. That's exactly the dire situation Angela Rima finds herself in. She has to move out of her home the day after the moratorium ends because the owners are selling. Yeah, that happens. Okay, maybe the owners are being forced to sell. She said she and her family may have to live in their car. Why don't you move somewhere else? Go camping. It's not a good time when so many other families are in such a desperate situation too, Ms. Rima said. Because of just the amount of families affected by this date, March 29, that's D-Day for a lot of us. Oh, come on. Oh. It's just sob story after sob story. We go and apply for homes. It doesn't take long for the response to come back. We've had enough applicants. So that's what we're dealing with. She intended to put the family belongings on the roadside for verge collection. My plan is to put everything on the road and stay in my car if I have to, Miss Freema said. That's my plan. That's my reality. That's all I can control right now, and I'm exhausted. She pleaded with landlords to be more lenient and let people stay beyond March 29 until they found a new home. Why aren't you looking for one now? Some real estate agents agree. Naomi Thomas, the Director of Professionals in Northam, said there were very few available properties in her area, and she had already convinced several landlords not to put their rents up by $60 or $70. Well, okay, let's have a look. Where's this? Northam. Okay, let's look at... Where do we want to go? We want to go for rents. Northam. WA 6401. We'll have a look here at the map for rentals. Okay, where are we looking? Is this right? Okay. Yeah, well, there are not very many rentals here. Look at this. It's not a big place. $350. 340, 350, 230, 375. Is this the area she's talking about? 230, 235, 310, 400. I mean, there are some places here. Where's the train line? Does that go to the city? Can you commute in? Can you commute in, guys? Nope, that's... Or is that taking you all the way to the Northern Territory? That train line. Where do we go in from there? Well, you're going to have to... I mean, this rural, guys, you're always going to be faced with that problem. You know, I'm sure she's a nice real estate agent convincing people not to put rents up. So, we've gone, looked. Look, you need to be realistic. People aren't going to be able to afford that type of increase, she said. Maybe we can do one now for 6 months, and then another 6 months after that. You know, a $15 to $20 increase not to scare the tenants too much. You have to have them and have them worry financially. But also, where are they going to go if they can't find something else? So rental laws are under review. Mr. Costa agreed. Limits to rent increases were long overdue and should be part of a review into the Residential Tenancies Act started in 2019. See, this is the thing. Do you want government intervention in rents? You know? Do you want government intervention in rents, everyone? It's not a good thing. I'm just trying to look at some examples here that I can find. I mean, we've got rent control in New York. I mean, that's the famous example. It puts an artificial cap on rents, and then it just creates a black market. It's not going to work. You want the government to step out of it. If these landlords are greedy, jack up their rents too much, and then people can't rent them, then they'll learn. They'll learn the hard way. That's how they have to be taught, guys. If some people can't afford to live in an area because they're not earning enough money and there's supply and demand, well, then they may need to look somewhere else. Rather than going and complaining on ABC about having to sleep in your bloody car, maybe you should be looking for somewhere. Am I just being too harsh, guys? It's just the same thing again and again and again. You know? We've got no control over rent increases in WA. And I know it is one of the most important things that is part of the Residential Tenancies Act review at the moment, Mr. Costa said. Well, you shouldn't have. It's the market should decide it. You know, we kind of want to have a market, guys. The more you intervene, the more damage you cause in the long term. Welfare groups said the government could not wait for the review. Shelter WA estimates there were currently 9,000 homeless people in WA, including over 1,000 rough sleepers. That's not that many considering the size of the state, guys. Seriously. It wants the government to spot purchase at least 2,000 properties as an immediate measure. The Urban Development Institute of Australia, UDIA, has identified 1,600 apartments sitting vacant. Oh, how convenient. In the metropolitan area, which Shelter WA said could help solve the urgent gap. Wouldn't you Wouldn't you love that if you'd invested in some of these apartments and then the government came in and bought them and turned them all into social housing? Wouldn't that be fantastic? You'd really love UDIA for that, wouldn't you? Anglicare's Mark Glasson said that as well as buying more social housing, the government should expand the residential rent relief grant scheme, which provides grants of up to $2,000 per tenancy to cover current rental payments. He said the demand for help was extending well beyond their usual clients. There's a whole new group of people who are going to be swept into homelessness or unstable housing, Mr. Glasson said. As part of the extending rent relief scheme, grants to pay 75% of tenants' rent debt to the landlord up to $4,000 are available until June 28th. So, the moratorium drove investors away. REIWA's Damien Collins supported the government's buying more private property for public housing. Of course, you want to sell them. But he said the key issue was the moratorium had led investors to flee the market, and it needed to end to start attracting them back to help spur new constructions. The UDIAWA said the most effective solution to the current rental emergency was for the government to provide tax and other incentive for investors to re-enter the market. A state government spokesperson said it was currently responding to the COVID crisis by refurbishing around 1,500 public housing properties. Many of these houses were set for demolition, but are now coming back online and providing homes for vulnerable families, the spokesperson said. We have also recently ceased the disposal of all public housing properties, which will provide further relief for those who are needing secure accommodation. The refurbishments are in addition to the hundreds of new builds that are going on. The spokesperson did not respond to questions on rent increase limits or on the expansion of the rent relief scheme. So there we go, guys. Calls for intervention into the rental market and examples of people who are, designed to tug at your heartstrings. Am I just getting too old and jaded? Is it unreasonable to expect people to look around and find somewhere cheaper to live if they can't get it? To go one train line to the next. Is that a big call? Is that too much to ask? I didn't seem to think it was. What do you reckon, guys? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comments down below. Do you think government intervention to limit rent increases is where we need to go? Or do people need to start having agency and not just bloody well complain to others every time? This is the problem. I'm reading too many of these bloody articles. Maybe that's hardening me too much. I need to be softer. What do you reckon? Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.